Hello everyone and welcome to this episode. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you another way in which to add classes to your schedule. So again, I'm on the main CIS homepage and I'm going to click on the registration tile again. Now it's going to bring me to this page where again I can see the class that I selected to add to my shopping cart, which we did in the last episode. But instead of copying and pasting, what I'm going to do is actually click on Schedule Builder. And that's going to bring up an interactive software that will help me choose my classes. Now, main campus is going to be the one that you want unless you are doing an only online degree or taking classes in our Asian campus in South Korea. This is going to be the one that you want, so you can just hit save and continue. Now I'm going to have a few other filters up here that we'll want to take a look at. One that I would like to look at is the course status. So Schedule Builder hopefully will default to only show you open classes, so classes that still have seats. However, you can select it to show you open and full. Just bear in mind that you might be a little bit disappointed if there's one that you want to take and Schedule Builder has shown you one that's full. Something else to look at is going to be instruction modes. So if in the case that you want our traditional in-person classes on campus, this is the one that you'll choose. Now, if you're wanting to take some kind of hybrid or online course and just see your options, you can add those in as well. The last thing I want to look at is the location. So especially for our out-of-state students who aren't as familiar with our city names, what you'll want to make sure you do is select the Salt Lake City location, not the general Utah location if you're looking for our main Salt Lake campus. I've also selected online just in case I want to see my online options, but I'm not going to select any of these other locations because they're too far. Okay, so now what you can see is I can scroll and it's saying I might have a hold that prevents me from registering. That's fine. You can still go through the Schedule Builder process even if you're not ready to register yet. It can be wise to kind of go through and pick out the classes that you want before you can register, just in case you want to see what classes you have the ability to add that are still open. Now, what you can see here is I don't have anything in my course area, but I do have the class that I already added in my shopping cart. So it's already thought about the class that I added in the last episode and brought it in here to remind me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another course to my schedule. So I'm going to go to add course, and I've thought about it and I want to add a social behavioral science elective for my general education to my schedule. And I've decided that I want to do psychology. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to psychology, which is going to be PSY. And I know I want the introductory course, which is general psychology. Now in this case, I can see I have two options. So remember, the class that you're going to want is going to be general psychology that has 4 numbers here. However, since I'm staff and I need to be able to show you the options, I'm going to click 101 just as an example. So here it will give me the description of the class. I'm going to go to add course. So it's kind of like online shopping. I can see my desired courses and I can see the one I've already put in my shopping cart the other way. I'm going to add one more class and I'm thinking I want to add in my American institutions requirement. So I'm going to go to political science. I know that this is one of the 3 options that I can take, and I'm going to select U.S. National Government 1100. This is going to be the class that you would want to add if you're looking for the political science AI requirement. Again, I'll get a description here and I can add that course to my schedule. Now let's say I'm happy with all of this and I'm ready to actually go to the next step. By clicking Schedule Builder, you'll go back to the main page. I can see everything here. Now over here, you can add a break. You can see I've put in sleep here. What you'll want to make sure and do is if you have a part-time job, if you have sports practice that you absolutely cannot move those times, go ahead and put those breaks in there because then Schedule Builder will not show you any classes that conflict with that time. However, if you're like me and you've put something in that says sleep, the reason I've done to 8:50 is because our classes don't always start at the hour or the half hour. Sometimes they'll start at 9:10, 9:25, and at 9:50. There's not always an easy time to look at that in terms of how they end. So keep in mind, if you do a huge block of time, you'll really start to weed out your classes. So sometimes it's better to not have as many breaks just in the first round to see what your options are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Generate Schedules. So now it's going to tell me that there are no schedules available for the selections I've made. So this is what I was talking about. All options of Psychology 101 conflict with the break sleep. So that's telling me that I have a really early option for psychology. So a couple things I can do. I can modify this. And again, you would want Psychology 1010 because you're a student, but because I'm staff, this was my example. However, if I want to just delete this, I can go ahead and remove. Generate schedules, and it's brought me two to take a look at. Now, as an incoming freshman, sometimes you may have over 100 to look at, and that's because if you've added 4 classes and they are all have a lot of seats open, a lot of availability of times and things like that, you will have many options to sort through. I just have 2 in this case. In order to view them, I'll just hit View, and I can actually go between my 2 options. Up here at the top, it will show me what my options are. So in this case, it's telling me section 90. So I know from our previous episodes that this is going to be an online class. It also is telling me TBA, which means it's online. I can see that there's 97 seats open, so I have a pretty good chance of adding that class. Now these 2 that have 2 and 5 seats, it might be a little bit more tricky to be able to get those spots. If I go to my second option, these classes have remained the same because I put in very specific ones to show you as an example, but this one's going to be in person, and I can see there's 354 seats. So let's say that this is the one that you like better. Now, a couple things to keep in mind when you're planning schedules are days, times, and the amount of time between classes. So are you going to be able to make this class that starts pretty early in the morning? Looks like it starts at 7:30. So keep in mind, are you living on campus? Are you going to be driving to campus, taking tracks to campus? Is that going to be enough time for you to be able to make this class? Also, the amount of time between classes. Is this going to be an okay time? Would you rather them closer together? Now, in some cases, you don't get as much choice because of what's available. However, you can play around with different options, adding classes and seeing what comes up. Now, if you have classes back to back, if you have at least 15 minutes, that should be fine. Even though we have a fairly large campus, 15 minutes, if you know where you're going, should be fine to get to that next course. So if this is the class that I've decided I want to take, I like the look of this, I'm going to go ahead and go to validate. Now, in my case, it will tell me I'm not eligible to add a course because I'm not a student, which is what this is telling me here, but it's saying for the non-credit, I'm fine to add those. Now, you might get an error if you're trying to add a math class or a writing class, which the scores do not match what the University of Utah has. So if you're trying to add calculus, but you don't have the prerequisites done from your test scores either through AP or your ACT score, then it will actually not let you register for it. So this is just letting you know. So what I'll do now is I'll actually send to my shopping cart and hit continue, and it will bring in all the hard work you've done here to your class schedule. Now, you will have something that says in red, click import cart to continue with registration. So by clicking import cart, in this case, because I know I'm only eligible for one of the classes, it's only going to bring in that general psychology. So by hitting next, now I can see this has also joined the writing class in my schedule. And again, proceeding to step 2 of 3, and then finish enrolling will formally add me in these courses. And again, you can make sure that all this is correct by going to my class schedule and going to weekly calendar view, keeping in mind that all online classes will be listed in the bottom.